were strict, hardcore Catholic people. And that was, that's what they were. And Susan was born, and she was baptized Catholic as well. So, anyway, what happened is that set the stage for a lot of the trouble that happened, okay? Because if Susan had her mother with her and not her grandmother, who was in no way able to control my mother, my biological mother. When I say my mother, I'm talking about biologicals here, okay? Because she was a young woman. She was drop dead gorgeous from what everybody told me. She was a model for Higbee's department store in downtown. And she was tall. She was extremely tall. In fact, she was 6'3", which is very tall for a woman. And consequently, obviously, she stuck out in her classes, and the kids just kind of made fun of her and stuff. And so she got tired, and she just cut school and just ran around, and she met up with some other people that were not the good kind of people you want to meet up with. So there's two stories going on at the same time here, and you'll find this out in the book and what I'm going to tell you tonight. There's my biological side, okay, and there's the adopted side. Because I had a life going on in my adopted life, and my biological mother had a life going on in her side, because she was young. Okay, I'll explain how that came. Alrighty. My biological mother's father abandoned her the moment her mother passed. Okay? Never heard from them again until many years later. When I came into the picture for her, it seemed that she wanted to know what happened. Since I was able to find her, she wanted to know what happened to her father, and I found him. I found out what happened to him, and he had died of diabetes. They found him dead, So the thing is, so you see Susan there, this young, tall, lanky teenage girl who had no real direction because her grandmother could not handle her, okay? Her mother was deceased, her father abandoned. So there you have Susan technically rejected by everybody except her grandparents. And, you know what teenage kids are like. You can't tell them anything. We've raised between the two of us 4 of them, and we went through it just like everybody else does, And, it's one of those things. You just know they don't listen. They know everything. Until they're like 25 or 26 and they got to start making it on their own. Then they start to learn. My birth mom was considered an uncontrollable child. This was by the courts. I was born in St. Anne's Hospital. I don't know how many people here are native to Cleveland, born and raised here? Nobody.
Here in the area?
No, I mean Cleveland area. Metropolitan Cleveland area, okay. All right. Well, I would assume some of you, some not. But St. Anne's Hospital, if you know the system, the Catholic Charities, they didn't know what to do with my mom. She was pregnant. She was a runaway from John Marshall High School, which no longer exists. It was torn down, I think, a year or 2 ago. This is all on the west side of Cleveland. We're talking the west 140th area, all the way up around that whole area, all the way down to 25th Street, 25th and the bridge, and all that. So that's where her stomping grounds were. Not a very good neighborhood, especially back in the day. I think it's even worse now from what I've heard. I was away from Cleveland for quite some time, so I'll explain. Susan never disclosed who my father was to anyone. Nobody but me. I'm the only person she ever told who it was. Because she figured, just none of their business. What happened was she was hanging around with a young girl who was her own age, a little wild one. She was a wild child by everybody's description. It was surprising how Susan knew everybody back then. She knew everybody. And it was a very interesting kind of thing going on there because these kids were skipping school and they were going to a bar. These kids were 15 and 16, hanging around a bar where a motorcycle club used. It was kind of like their mini headquarters or hangout place. And she got her eyes set on this guy, okay, we call him in the book Rock. Okay, that is not his real name. Anyhow, he was at the time 28 and married and divorced by the time we met. Susan. Susan was 15. She was infatuated with his bike. His bike, he had one of the flashiest bikes in the area from what I was told. By the way, everything I was told was I actually interviewed the people themselves. Over the years, before I built up the information, I actually talked to these people. Everybody. I have actually interviewed everybody in this thing. And they were telling me what the girl that she hung around with was like. And I guess they would classify her as a tramp. I mean, there was just no other way to go about it. This girl would jump into bed with anybody, just to be asking, you know. So my biological mother said that she wasn't like that. And she really was not what you call a runaround. But my biological father was a smooth talking guy. He was a good looking guy, big like me. Big guy, real hot Harley. And you know, that was everything to her. You know, and she didn't care about the age. Well, he was married, divorced. He married a woman at 16. Back in 19, what was it? 40, in about 1953, he married a 16-year-old girl. And of course, she got divorced from him as quick as she could. And he was, you know, just running around. And it was really amazing because I always thought he divorced her until the records proved that she divorced him. So here he was, one divorce already under his belt before he was 22. And then he goes and gets married again, has some more kids, okay? And then Susan starts hanging around with this guy. And sure, one thing led to another, and from what she told me, that he was riding the bike, and next thing you know, they're kissing and stuff and making out, and the next thing you know, he has her in the back of a station wagon in a junkyard. And, you know, she ended up saying to her friend, she said, I might be pregnant. And the friend's like, oh, you got the kid, you know. And it wasn't long before that where it was pretty much confirmed. Again, Susan told nobody. Nobody she was pregnant, she didn't tell her grandparents.